Greetings, viewers. This is Eric again, and I'm back with, hey, imagine this, another computer video. System I want to talk about is actually my mom's system. It's an Emachines. Let's see if I can get this to focus. Okay, I can't, but it's a HP W3650. My dad bought this machine brand new, I believe from Walmart in something like 2007. And it was one of the last machines to be sold brand new with XP Home Edition. And it's a it was a Celeron computer. Now, in my day, I gotta say, I have talked a little bit of smack on Emachines computers in the past. And right now I'm actually transferring over some of my mom's important files over to a flash drive. So, but this machine he bought brand new, and till earlier this year, the only reason I can think of that the case had been removed was I had bought memory that didn't work with my computer, so I upgraded this from 1 gig to 2 gigs. And that's the only time I can think of from 2007, which I actually believe that might have happened in 2008 that I did that, to now. Sometime between Halloween and Thanksgiving, I don't remember when, I was sitting there and I heard this machine sounding like a turbojet sitting there. And my mom's like, yeah, it's been doing that for a little while. I popped the case, and you can still see there's a good amount of dust in there now. But that heat sink was plugged solid. I mean, when I say plugged solid, I mean, I don't know how this machine worked. So I went ahead and I grabbed her vacuum that had a hose on it and vacuumed up all I could, and imagine that, it sounded better. So after that, I'm looking at it, I'm like, that looks like a socket 775. And so I did some research, and to my surprise, it really was. It was a socket 775 motherboard. I went ahead and did some more research and found out that it'll take any Core 2 Duo or Pentium dual core processor, or any HP, or not HP, what am I thinking, P4 hyper-threaded. So I said, you know what, I accidentally put that Pentium dual core in that Dell. Well, why don't I try to put this, the Intel Core 2 Duo that I thought I put in the Dell in this. Crap, I just opened up Internet Explorer. It's one of the worst things you can do, right? And to my surprise, it came up. Although this is showing it's a Pentium dual core as well. So I might need to run that, don't mind me, I'm going to come over here to this computer and I'm going to run the E2180. And this one's running Windows Vista. I'm about ready to, once I put more memory in this, I'm probably going to go to Windows 7. What did I say? That was an E2180. Processor. So it is an Intel Pentium dual core. So that changes the so apparently both dual core processors I had laying around were Pentium dual cores. But either way, what I did with this machine by doing that, come on, do this to all of them, is it was a 2 gigahertz Celeron, but now it's a 2 gigahertz Pentium dual core, which Pentium dual core has a lot more cache, much higher front side bus, and that will actually take advantage of the memory and everything in it. This machine will only see 2 gigs of DDR2. But to my surprise, for this being an Emachines, and apparently the Elite group, I forget who actually makes that board. I want to say it's probably Foxconn because it's purple. It's actually a surprisingly upgradable computer. One of the plans I have is I'm going to get myself a new video card for my main rig, and I'm going to give her mine. Mine is a GeForce 420, 430, something like that. Nothing crazy, it's just a 1 gigahertz or 1 gigabyte of GDDR5. It's actually just a good running video card, nothing special, not really anything for high gaming. But I think that would be a good upgrade for this computer, because right now it's got the onboard graphics, which I believe are Intel, which I believe to be this guy right here. But because what that would allow it to do would be to actually utilize all 2 gigs of memory for the operating system, rather than, you know, I don't even know what it's utilizing. Apparently it's taken 256 megs of the memory for that. So what I'm going to do is, once this is done copying files, I'm going to come back and I'm going to do the Windows 7 reinstall in it. Because what I didn't do is, after I put the processor in it, I did not reinstall Windows, so it's still running a 32-bit operating system. Not that I particularly believe it needs to run 64-bit, but I'm going to do that anyway. But what'll be a split second and look like a split screen for you will be a couple minutes for me. Alright, as near as I can tell, I have gotten all the personal information off this machine. And now it's time to install Windows 7. So what I'm going to do, now I do it from a flash drive. It's a lot faster, and basically allows me to use whatever version of Windows 7 I want that way. I gotta remember, is it Escape? It's either Escape or F12, I don't remember which. I was F10 on this one. You didn't see that? Now, one of the things I learned in my last video, and I apologize about the glare on that, but it will not allow me to turn off the flash while it's recording. But hold on a second, maybe I can get that. This particular one tells me to do this. But while it's doing this, I'm going to try something. Okay, it will not let me turn off the flash video, so that's kind of a disappointment here. But we'll get through it. And this particular process takes a couple minutes. Now, one thing I did learn from the last video I shot down here, actually I learned a couple things. One, if I have the light on above me here, it throws my autofocus. It makes it crazy. I also learned not to play music in the background. The last video I did down here got tagged for all kind of copyrights, and ended up not being able to be viewed in Germany, which I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to do that. Maybe tomorrow night I'll just film a shorter version of the same film and show the install of that compact flash and install Windows again. But haven't quite figured out how I'm going to work on that yet. Based on the temperature of the pipe I just hit my head on, my downstairs neighbor has his heat set on easy bake again, and he's not even here. Alright, we're almost to someplace useful. Alright, so here we are at the Windows 7. Every disk is pretty much different. This happens to be the one I have. So I went ahead and told it yes, I agree, and start, or end to install. And now setup is starting from the flash drive. I don't know what it's asking me for. Alright, give me a second here. I just used this disc last night. Give me 1 second. Okay, I don't know what happened, but I switched it to a rear USB port, and that seemed to fix it. The particular disc I use gives me the ability to change different, or choose which version of 7 I want to run. You know, I normally run Ultimate on everything, but so you know what, that's what I'll run. Actually, no, I will run Home Premium, because what happens with that, with the Ultimate, is it gives you all these different language packs it wants you to install, and all this different nonsense, and I accept the license terms. But here's where things will be a little bit different. If you were doing this on a fresh hard drive, you would go in here to Drive Options and delete these. However, I'm not doing that, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit Format and Format. What Windows 7 does is it puts a different partition on your hard drive, something for system files. I'm not really sure what it puts on there, but when you put your second partition will be the larger drive. Like this one's only 100 megs, whereas this one's 149 gigs. I believe this to be a 150 gig hard drive, so which that would make sense. So next we're going to hit, well, next. And then what it's going to do is it's going to copy a couple files. Now this is where installing it from a flash drive makes it a lot faster. Where it says expand in files. It goes from here to here is like 30 seconds. But on this, whereas when it says expand in Windows files, on when you're doing it from the CD, you are limited by the speed of your CD. Oh, excuse me. So what this does, running it from the flash drive, is it just speeds it up. It'll sit here at 0% for like a minute or two, and then it will go. So once you see 1%, it just starts moving. But earlier I was talking about the upgrades I made to this computer. Question might be, you know, why would you do that? Why would you put a different processor in it? In my last video, I briefly talked about that as well. You know, this machine was not really expensive when it was new, but it was a slightly higher end, basically, even though it had a Celeron processor. And but the components inside of it are good. The hard drive is good. The CD drive is good. Everything else is good. But the processor was just not really, you know, meeting the demands. So, you know, what do? Do you buy a brand new computer? I mean, you have one that works. Or do you just do a simple upgrade? Now, my last video when I talked about the upgraded Dell, I did show the prices of these processors that were available. And in fact, if I can get my laptop up, I might just be able to show that again. But what this did was it took it from, yeah, you go to play certain games on Facebook, and they were just really hard to play. They were just, you know, not wanting to load right. They were taking forever to load when they did. It just was not really worth the time, really. So when I did that, it greatly increased the performance of the machine by putting that processor in there. Now, on this particular computer, you have to pull the hard drive out, or not the hard drive, you have to pull the motherboard out to do it, because it is an LGA 775 processor. And ow, hold on one second. I happen to remember I had another motherboard just sitting in the other room down here. And what I can try to explain to you is on the motherboard, where it says AMD here is the processor. And on this one you can see 4 holes on it. Not really sure what that is used for, on a socket 462 processor. But on the LGA 775, excuse me, I'm putting in a password here on the laptop, you have a metal bracket that mounts on these holes, and that holds your heatsink on. So in order to have that metal bracket not just fall into the computer, you have to take the motherboard out and do it, which is a little bit of a pain, but it can be done without a problem. So with that, that's what I had to go through with this one. Not every system's like that, but you know, Intel Pentium dual core. I'm actually on eBay right now, and in fact, I mean, I literally, oh, this is actually doing this. Now, like I said with the upgraded Dell video, with this architecture is at least 5 years old. And, but it's still a 64-bit architecture, which will give you a little more life out of the machine. Oh, is that the CD drive? You know, where you might feel like you've got to buy a new computer because, you know, your system just is not running like you feel it should. You know, you can upgrade fairly inexpensively and buy yourself some time. For instance, right now, because it's booting here, I can show you right now. The Pentium D processor, 3.4 gigahertz, which is better than what's in this, is $9.95 with free shipping. So, you know, what makes more sense? It's like, go out, spend $300–400 on a brand new machine, or spend $10 on a new processor and a couple bucks on memory, and have a nice machine that'll last you a few more years. I can tell you which one I would do. Well, mainly because sorry about that, because I've done that twice actually. The Dell is actually the one that I did in the Dell is actually what made me think about upgrading this one when I saw what the processor slot looked like. And don't mind me, I'm just putting the case back, this case side back on this. But what I'm also, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, what I'm thinking of doing to buy her even more time out of it is when I upgrade my video card, I'll put mine in, the one I currently have in this for her, which will buy her a considerable amount more time, because now the system will actually be able to utilize, you know, what she's actually got for the memory. But if you guys ever want me to do a processor swap on a system, let me know, and I'll try to do that as soon as I can. I'm not going to do it on a bare board like this, because, you know, on a bare board like this, I can simply just, you know, pull a lever up and slide it out. But I'm also thinking, if hear back from this guy in Delaware that has an ad on Craigslist for a bunch of computer parts. Thinking of, you know, basically building a complete system out of a pile of scrap computer parts. And let me know if you think you'd like to see that. Because basically what I'd do is just haul the parts down here and basically set up the tripod and try to explain what I'm doing as I'm going. You know, take it from a pile of parts to being on the internet. Because based on what he shows he has, I can definitely do that. And you can tell I'm not a professional because so far this is the second video where I had problems. Might as well shut down this Vista computer. I turned it on to listen to music, but then I remembered that remembered what happened to me last time I played music down here. Tell you one thing that is a lifesaver is I have this Netgear wireless repeater. What it allows me to do is my router is upstairs, allows me to plug network cables in down here because this particular computer does not have a wireless card, and also allows me to repeat the wireless signal. Like my laptop over here was just on the wireless, and so is this one. Now, I guess I'll give her a name like, I think she already has a computer at her house named Mom, so I think this is the one that goes in the dining room. It was asking me for a password, which she doesn't use. I'm going to use recommended settings for the updates. One thing I've learned about me as a teacher is I tend to go really fast. And I need to not do that. And right now I'm setting up the Eastern time zone. Doing this through the screen on the phone. This is a home network, which means it's trusted. It's going to do a couple things. One of which is activate Windows. Which I'll probably pause the video for the activation because that's going to require me punching in numbers. Just a second. Alright, it's giving me a welcome screen only to restart, which is kind of annoying. Keep sliding down. I think this time when it reboots, I'll go ahead and now it's logging off. I remove my flash drive, stick the other flash drive that has her personal stuff in my pocket. I'm really thinking about that 3.4 gigahertz dual core. Would be really nice in that Dell because that's got 4 gigs of RAM. And then I can install that 2.6 gigahertz Pentium dual core in this. And then what am I going to do with this processor? So in about half an hour, you have seen this go from desktop to formatted, back to desktop again. Not bad. What I need, this is the ask me later, because I'm not going to ever use you again. First thing you gotta do when you install Windows. Now once I do this one quick test for you, because I'm going to show one thing. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and take this upstairs and install the 300,000 Windows updates that it has. Because this thing will have a crazy number of updates it's got to do. I'm just going to pause real quick. Or maybe not. And you'll be able to see this is still the same computer. Pentium dual core, genuine Windows. Apparently it took my 2 words and made it 1. Forgot that it does that. I thought the download would actually take longer. So I'm going to do, this is about the internet test. I just want to, more than anything, I'm kind of curious about my network down here. That really ain't bad. It's a lot better than I was expecting.